So I'm in Portsmouth, Virginia, which is considered the most dangerous city in Virginia. And it makes sense because it's right next to Norfolk, which is considered the second most dangerous city in Virginia. So this whole area must be on the bad side. And just like Norfolk, the population here is declining really quickly as well. The population is currently 96,000. And declining quickly. It's 50% black, 35% white, 6% Hispanic, and 1% Asian. So it's a pretty diverse city. Doing a lot of road construction. The average age is 36, which is about typical of a city like this. 20% of the adults are seniors, which is also pretty good, actually. That's pretty high. And like a lot of cities that have high crime, the male-female ratio here is off. It's 52% female, 48% male. And I've been seeing that a lot more and more in these bad cities where it's, I mean, a lot of times you'll see it and it'll be off, you know, 49, 51, whatever. But when it starts getting, you know, 52 to 48 or 53 to 47, that's a huge difference in the male-female ratio. But there's a 56% home ownership rate here, which is actually 13% lower than the national average, but it's really good. Anytime a city has over 50%, I consider that good, because the more people you have owning homes in a city, the more likely that city will be a better city, because people will have a stake in the city and they'll care about the city a little more. And this is all cute so far, what we've seen through here. It's right on the water. You should probably drive up along the water more. The average home value here is $175,000, and the median rent price is around $1,100, which is fairly typical for this area. Yeah, there's the, let's just go see if we can get a shot of this big, huge ship here. Just because it looks kind of cool. That thing's huge. That ship there is huge. Portsmouth Naval Shipyard Museum. Yeah, that ship was huge. You only could see the front of it. That building's in the way, or we could see the whole thing. Let's see if we can, I don't know if I'm going to be able to turn. I can probably turn in here just to see it. Oh, those are going to block the way. Yeah, that is a huge ship. Yeah, I'm stuck in this parking lot and probably cannot exit up here to get out. I might have to go all the way around. Yeah. Oh well, we'll get a nice shot of the, let's see how big that ship is. That thing's huge. So where were we? Average income is $44,000 a year, which is pretty good. 17% poverty rate, which seems fairly typical for this area. That's neither good nor bad. It's not really bad. I mean, it is, but it's statistically it's not. They have a 37% marriage rate, which is a little on the low side. 64% of the people that live here were either born here in this city or in the state of Virginia. That's kind of low, actually. But it's showing 97% of the people that live here were native-born citizens. They don't have very many foreigners here, and they're only showing a 1% non-citizen rate, which some of that is partly due to the fact that somebody hacks. There's a voter registration election drop box. Well, the election has passed, so you can remove that. So the 1% non-citizen, you know, you have to have people admit that they're here illegally for that number to, you know, even mean anything. So it's hard to just take those kind of numbers at face value. This the whole, we'll drive right around this and take a look at all these ships as much as we can, or these boats. Yep, Harbor Center, it's all closed. So the homicides, let's get to the crime. The homicides here, pre-2020, they had about 14 to 27 a year. Okay, giving them murder rates in the mid-teens to mid-20s. Okay, since 2020, the murders have been 34 to 47. So from 14 to 27 to 34 to 47. So they, for the most part, have doubled their homicides since the summer of Floyd. And their murder rates going from the mid-teens to the mid-20s pre-2020, and since they're 36 to 48, that murder rate that's a big number for a murder rate. 36 to 48, that's a big number. There's a lot of military stuff you see. We just passed these, like, I'm not sure what those guns are called that they put on the decks of ships. But you see them every once in a while around here. So their murder rates went from being about equal or better than that of Chicago to being considerably worse than Chicago. And if I could think of a city that has a murder rate in the, I don't even want to guess one because I don't want to be wrong, but it's pretty bad when the murder rates get up in the 40s. Their assault rates here, pre-2020, were below 500 per 100,000 people, except for 2019, which for whatever reason jumped up to 646. And since 2020, it's in the 550 to 620 range. And that's worse than Chicago, or in around Chicago levels to worse than Chicago. And that murder rate for sure is worse than Chicago. I don't want to go through that downtown tunnel again. Let's just go up one of these roads and see what the houses look like. So their theft rate is in the 4,000s per 100,000 people. And it ranks as the bottom 10% or in the worst 10% in America. Their theft rate. The violent crime here is 137% higher than the national average, which is worse than regular city bad. So it's worse than what you just expect and, you know, learn to accept when you live in a city. Their property crime is 150% worse. That's than the national average. That's, again, it's worse than what you'd expect to see when you live in city, just regular city stuff. It's worse than that. They also rank in the top 10% for stolen vehicles. Like in the bad, like most vehicles being stolen, so not in a good way, top 10%. Your odds of becoming a victim of a crime here is 1 in 18, which is not good, but typical of a city like this. And the year-over-year crime here is increasing by 24%. And you got neighboring Norfolk, that's their year-over-year crime is increasing by 42%. There we got some graffiti. I don't know if the camera caught that. This is probably the bad areas. The buildings are starting to look boarded up more. So you got Norfolk, the second worst as far as crime goes in the state of Virginia, and Portsmouth is just right next to it. And they're both increasing in crime, and between the two of them, this whole area could get out of control really fast if they don't get on top of it. But the cost of living here is right around the national average, so it's not overly expensive to live here. And again, everything that I'm saying about Virginia, as far as schooling goes, Virginia is really good. They graduate 79% of their students, graduate proficient at reading and math. Here in Portsmouth, that's 71%, and that's really, I mean, it doesn't sound like it's really good, but it is really good to graduate 71% of the students at a 12th grade level, because across America, the average is 48%. So 48% in America of the students that graduate can read and write at a 12th, or read and do math at a 12th grade level. Here in Virginia, it's 79%, and here in Portsmouth, it's 71%. So they're doing pretty good here, at least in that regard. So hopefully that shows hope that the city can do better going forward. 81% of the people that live here completed the 8th grade, and 79% graduated high school. Again, these aren't necessarily the best numbers, but with the state of things in America these days, those are really good numbers, because America has become really stupid, and the schools are not teaching the kids anything, and they seem to think it's okay to not teach them anything and just take the tens of thousands of dollars they're getting per student and putting it in someone's pocket and not putting it towards actually teaching the kids anything that is going to help them live a fruitful and happy life. Here's a bunch of garbage, but that building looks like it was probably closed up, which explains why there's garbage laying there. So this, I don't know, you look at these cities, this one does look worse than Norfolk did. But, you know, I don't know. I think the state of Virginia is one of the safer states on average, or at least in the top half. And although you can see graffiti coming up on the right here on the building in front of us, all of this is all boarded up. On the left side here, everything's boarded up. Maybe on the right side it's all boarded up too. This whole block maybe is kind of all just boarded up. Yeah, graffiti everywhere here. I think I already came down this road. I feel like I drove on this road already. That stuff on the left is all, but it looks like there's a guy in front of it might be doing some work. So maybe they're trying to, you know, clean things back up. I think we already went down this road. All right, well, I'm going to let this play out just a little bit longer, and I hope you enjoyed that drive through Portsmouth, Virginia.